By now, Bullhead City residents are aware that there has been a massive campaign to retire certain police officers from the Bullhead City Police Department, to include the Chief of Police, Robert Trebes. If you are wondering why this has occurred, you might want to consider that there is something seriously wrong in that department. The specific quasi-retirement of Bradley Holdway is questionable because of the many complaints that have been lodged against him. Brad Holdway has now applied to the Mohave County Sheriffs Department in some capacity, and this appeal is a direct appeal to Sheriff Doug Schuster to consider the many complaints and legitimate accusations that have been made against Bradley Holdway of excessive force, bullying, harassment, to include attempting to manipulate other officers, and to also consider that his wife, Laurel, is also affiliated with the Sheriff's Department. We have Brad Holdway's wife, Laurel, who was up against the Arizona Peace Officer Standards and Training Board under possible action on the Mohave County Sheriff's Office petition for waiver of the board standards qualifications regarding past criminal conduct. Drug activity for applicant Laurel Holdway. Applicant Holdway disclosed having sold one of her prescribed Vicodin to a peer when she was 23 years of age. Did you get that? She sold only one of her prescribed Vicodin? Look, the problem with some of these officers and deputies is that some of them are criminals. They have no morals, no ethics, and no value. Some are unqualified to serve Mohave County, which is why there is so much corruption. To the point, several police officers in Bullhead City retired. We have Marv Harris, a thief, the Chief Robert Trebes, who was involved in fixing tests for his buddies, and Brad Holdway, who is rumored to now want a job with the MCSD. And there are other officers who remain at the BHCPD, who are leftover crooks who need to be monitored at all times. Assistant Attorney General Seth Hargraves addressed the board regarding the Mohave County Sheriff's Office petition for waiver of the board's standards/qualifications regarding past criminal conduct/drug activity for applicant Laurel Holdway. Sheriff Doug Schuster should do the right thing and deny this application by Laurel's husband, Brad Holdway. Because if he hires Brad Holdway, it will be like a bad apple spoiling the whole bunch, like it was at the Bullhead City Police Department. Brad Holdway will influence deputies in the Sheriff's Department to act in nefarious ways. The public needs to know the reason why Brad Holdway retired from the Bullhead City Police Department and is now expecting to get picked up by Sheriff Schuster. Was Brad Holdway forced out of the Bullhead City PD and is now attempting to get another position as law enforcement? Because it is no surprise that when a bad cop leaves one department for nefarious reasons, he often goes to another department, which is obviously the case here. The following recommendation from Charlie Cassens is only one complaint against Bradley Holdway in regards to his trying to harass and get another police officer fired from the Bullhead City Police Department, which, in fact, this officer, Raul Garzon, was reinstated after Brad Holdway did his best to harass, intimidate, and ultimately was labeled a bully against his fellow officers. This is not the kind of person that the county should be picking up to represent any law enforcement organization. The following letter was written by Charlie Cassens, Human Resources, Risk Management, Bullhead, City, Arizona. After a harassment complaint was filed against Brad Holdway, this letter was presented by Brad Holdway in a hearing and made it available publicly. To City Manager Toby Cotter, City Attorney Garnett Emery, from Human Resources Risk Manager Charlie Cassens. Regarding employee allegations of workplace harassment and hostile work environment. Date, September 9th, 2021. The purpose of this memo is to respond to the above-referenced allegations, presented directly to me by a current city employee working in the police department. This is the second such complaint, served by separate individuals to the HR office in the last few months. The first of these complaints was forwarded to the city attorney's office, and I understand the case is currently under investigation by an outside party. This memo must not be construed as an investigation into the facts surrounding the second complaint. It is intended only provide an assessment of the environment in which these complaints were generated and present possible solutions that could keep similar circumstances and complaints from occurring in the future. Background. On August 30th, 2021, Sergeant Raul Garzon came to my office, expressing his frustration about an apparent lack of attention by management to a litany of events in the police department, dating back many years The perceived inaction has led to what Sergeant Garzone describes as retaliatory actions by Patrol Commander Lieutenant Brad Holdway. Sergeant Garzone presented me with a 13-page complaint outlining numerous instances of actions and behaviors by Holdway and others that have contributed to an environment seen by some as hostile, unless you are a friend or associated with a small group recognized by the chief. Sergeant Garzone also presented a binder filled with many pages of supporting documents and lengthy recordings of several meetings with Brenda Richardson, Chief Trebes, and others on matters related to the subject of this memo. All the information was received by me in the preparation of this memo. Discussion. The allegations and supporting information paint a troubling picture. From the human resources and risk management perspective, as you know, it can be a challenge to attract and retain quality employees in what may be perceived by some as an extreme weather environment and a community that lacks many cultural and social amenities. Retaining good employees who are subject to or even observe unfair practices in the workplace is virtually impossible, especially in the law enforcement field, where officers can practically work wherever they wish, and in many cases, for a better pay. From the risk management perspective, the environment and practices described in the documents and in the recordings is concerning. If the city fails to quickly and effectively address reports of a hostile work environment and allegations of harassment, it opens the door to litigation that could be damaging for this organization. Fortunately, the contributors to what I see as a volatile workplace environment can be corrected, and actions to do so should be immediately implemented. Conclusions. After reviewing all the information provided by Sergeant Garzone, it is my opinion that his allegations of a hostile work environment and workplace harassment would be extremely difficult to defend in court, and therefore require immediate attention by management before one or more affected employees pursue remedy through legal means. Recommendations. Number 1. Remove Lieutenant Bradley Holdway from any supervisory capacity. Based on what I have read and understand, Lieutenant Holdway is the common denominator in many, if not most, of the issues affecting the department. He harbors ill will towards some others in the department and uses repetitive petty disciplinary actions to harass. In other words, a bully. I sincerely believe that this action alone will have the greatest positive impact on morale within the department. Number 2. Investigate the process and methods used in the selection and promotions of command, staff, allegations of manipulation and favoritism by the chief, and the possibility that promotional decisions were made prior to testing and oral board have created an air of distrust among the ranks and discourages future potential candidates for promotion in the department. Number 3. Chief Trebes should be counseled on best practices related to impartiality, fairness, and responsibilities as a supervisor and mentor. The Chief of Police should be the pillar of integrity and honesty and bring honor to the department, the organization, and the city. The chief and his command staff should represent everything a recruit aspires to and the seasoned veteran respects in leadership. Until that condition is achieved, it is my humble opinion that we will continue to hear from frustrated, angry, and discouraged employees. Thank you for the opportunity to communicate my thoughts on the subject. If you wish to have further discussion on this or other matters, please contact me, CLC. Having Laurel Holdway's bully husband working for the Mohave County Sheriffs Department is not good. For the fact that this analysis of Mr. Brad Holdway exposes him as what he is, a bully. And why? If Brad Holdway sought to retire less than 2 months ago, is he now seeking out employment in the Sheriff's Department? Was Bradley Holdway forced out? A message and appeal to Sheriff Doug Schuster. The community surely hopes you will do the right thing. Protect your deputies and the community you promise to protect.